This is Jeff Durkin with wearechangect. Sentencing for Ross Ulbricht, the creator and founder of the website The Silk Road, was sentenced on Friday, a few days ago, to life in prison. So what we're going to do in this video, break down the real, just wide-ranging implications, not just for the internet, but also really the failed policies of the war on drugs, and how throughout this program that the U.S. government has funded trillions of dollars for the war on drugs, the fake war on drugs, and also tie it all into this case, the Ross Ulbricht Silk Road trial, and different things like that. So just as a recap, I had the opportunity to attend the hearings in January when they were first going on. I couldn't be there every day, but I tried to be there as much as I could for a few days before I had to cover Barrett Brown's hearing in Texas. But this case, I had the chance to interview Derek Brose, a good friend of mine and journalist who's extensively covered this trial more than anyone else I've seen. For the real, just getting down to the nitty-gritty aspects of what is important, whether it's using other networks like Tor, Bitcoin, all of these different things that are being under fire by the U.S. government now for simply using them. Because if you start to use encrypted networks against the U.S. government, then they can't watch you what you're doing through the regular internet that the NSA has continually been doing for years, and then you become more of a target. And it also plays to the idea of the ignorance factor with the jury in this case, where most of the jury, I'm pretty sure they don't know what these networks are, Tor, Bitcoin, all of these different things, which the government props up as a fear-mongering tactic to prey on their ignorance, to basically say that he used these encrypted channels because that means he must have been doing something wrong if he didn't want to be encrypted. It's the same quote that, ironically, was coined by Joseph Goebbels, a Nazi propaganda minister, saying if you're doing nothing wrong, you have nothing to hide. And this is a continued talking point of the establishment to say that if you're not doing anything wrong, then fine. You can surveil all of your emails, phone calls, phone records, all of that, metadata, everything. Just collect everything, as Keith Alexander said. Collect it all. Collect everything, former head of the NSA. But it really shows with this case, the Silk Road and all of that, where, going back to that, more details are coming out about this case since it was over on, the sentencing was on Friday, where the government demanded Ross, to pay $183,000, a little over $183,000 in restitution to the U.S. government, which is the common tactic. What I saw at Barrett Brown's trial when I was covering it in the sentencing hearing, the government demanded almost $1 million for damages involved in the Stratfor hack, which he was never even involved with in the first place. And it really shows the government creates these big giant numbers to somehow say that you owe the government a certain amount of money. Meanwhile, the government continued to lie, cheat, and steal and everyone else's money. It's that old quote, "Don't steal, the government hates competition." It really applies to this case and Ross Ulbricht, about him. And then it also ties into, again, the war on drugs and how U.S. government keeps these cannabis, marijuana, whatever you want to call it, illegal, and then profits off of that through the prison pipeline, that nonviolent offenders like Ross and so many millions of others get thrown in jail for basically a few ounces of marijuana, simply because it's a Schedule I drug, which the government has put there on purpose, along with heroin, methamphetamines, all of those dangerous drugs, supposedly dangerous, but again, depends on your opinion. But for this case, we're going to mention Schedule I. That marijuana is just as dangerous as those other drugs, which the government argues and is completely false, because the government can't close that loophole. They don't want to close that loophole with the prison industrial complex and also the money, the billions and billions, almost trillions of dollars on the war on drugs. where it all ties into the aspects of the government taking money through civil asset forfeiture and these militarized police. And that's an example of the war and how it's used to shut down the government's competition. Because when the government deals drugs and things like that, the government doesn't want competition from regular people on the street that are really the low-level people who aren't the big players in the game. The government's the real big player in the game. The guy selling marijuana or cocaine down the street in any other town in America is not the kingpin, so to speak. It's the low-level person who gets busted and thrown in jail, along with the millions of other people who do happen to do the same thing involved in drugs. And it really just boils down to the implications with Ross Ulbricht, Silk Road, and the entire internet in general, where the author of a website could be charged and thrown in prison for something that happened on his website. You could apply the same argument to Craigslist and say that, because there's been several cases of people being involved in weird setups and murders and stuff like that on Craigslist, but the author of Craigslist, the website, won't get thrown in jail. But this case, Ross Ulbricht does. And you see the government that deals billions of dollars in drugs, mafia people, all of this stuff, and they don't get as much time as that. And it really shows just how, when the government put out their sentencing memorandum for the prosecutors put it out to the general public. I'll put the links in the description below for all this information about this case, where the government wanted to make an example out of him, just like all the other cases, Barrett Brown, Jeremy Hammond, all those other people, where the government puts the full weight behind them and throws them at the max in jail. Ross faced 20 years minimum already anyway, but Judge Forrest ended up giving him life in prison, because the government's argument was basically that, saying it was a criminal enterprise and it was making the war on drugs even worse, it wasn't making it safe, and throwing out different speculation and different examples, saying, well, proof of he was being involved in some kind of setup with other people, which was never really proven during the trial. And the government continually used FBI informants involved in this case, where the DHS agent in charge testified about that case, where the government devoted so much time to having someone on the website to try to set people up being involved in informants, which the FBI and other organizations have continuously used. It's more of accelerated lately, but the idea of using informants to basically entrap people for committing crimes, where it's giving them the necessary materials and then moving for the bust after that. You can check out all this information in the description below. My interview with Derek Brose, who's extensively covered the trial. Check out his work as well. And just all the different articles about this case and how it just really is bigger than one person. It obviously is with Ross Ulbricht. It's bigger than one person. It has wide-range implications on the internet and how the war on drugs is, again, a failure, and different things like that. So again, check out the links in the description below for more information about this case, and also really how it sets a precedent for future cases involving whether it's other innovators like Ross or anybody else involved in the drugs, war on drugs. So again, thanks everybody for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos coming soon. I'm currently in the Washington, D.C. area doing different interviews and things like that. So again, follow me on Instagram at wearechangect. Follow me on Twitter at JeffWRCCT, JEFFWRCCT, for more information about where I'm currently at and what I'm doing. And again, thanks everybody for watching.